and then runs out of space and then gets the ball back and almost does a beautiful little backheel flick. Almost creates half a chance there, and it just shows you from everywhere at the moment Scotland are throwing everything at this Slovakian defence. They're panicking a little bit. They've just pulled back John McGuinn, and another yellow card being shown by the referee. A whole bunch of them for Slovakia, but they don't care as long as they get 3 points.
There's Albert Rusnak, the latest to go into the book for Slovakia. Just pulling back McGinn as he charged over the halfway line. Scotland are pushing. Free kick, third of the way inside the Slovakia half, slightly to the right of centre. Griffiths is over it, sends it high into the penalty area. Headed away by Slovakia, will fall to a light blue shirt though. Here is Tierney on the left-hand side. Christie, left-footed delivery, cleared away again by Slovakia. Scotland are underneath it with McGinn. Won't be won by Tierney, won't be won by Christie. That's very well retaining of possession by Petr Pekarik there for Slovakia, and Slovakia now breaking forward the blue shirts. Possibly a shot might come in from the edge of the D. No, Slovakia opt to go backwards. Is game management the perfect example there, Pat, because they have bodies over there, Slovakia, but they are coming forward again now. It's crossed to the edge of the penalty area. Opportunity here to get the second that would kill off Scotland. Pulled back for Harashauchik in the centres of the penalty area and cleared away by Scotland. Slovakia will come again though. The visitors looking to add to their 1-0 lead. The ball swung across into the penalty area very calmly back to Craig Gordon by Scotland, who will come down this left-hand side now, but it's a poor ball forward from Tierney, straight out of play when he was trying to find Christie. Slovakia have a throw midway through the Scotland half. Slovakia 1, Scotland 0. We're into the final minute of normal time.
Yeah, it's just poor ball there by Tierney. I would say that's the first mistake he's made in this entire game. He's been superb. But Scotland are wide open at the moment, but they've put so many forwards on, the attacking players. They have to go for it. You beat 1-0, you beat 2-0. It doesn't matter. You might as well try and get this game wide open so that if you do get a chance to break, you've got enough players up front. But at the moment, it's got a little bit scrappy and no chances for Scotland so far.
Scotland win the ball back from the throw, though. They will try and build again from the back. Here is Tierney, midway through his own half, left-hand side. Plays it back. Scotland again will try and spread the play out to the right-hand side as we enter 3 minutes of added time. Slovakia 1, Scotland 0 here on 5 Live. Coverage of the Masters is coming up after this, but can Scotland find this equaliser that would round off what a fabulous week it has been already for Scottish football? They've done the main job by far. They've qualified for the European Championships this week. They want to keep the momentum going, but at the moment it is Slovakia who are creating some momentum of their own after dumping Northern Ireland out in the playoff final. Slovakia coming down the left-hand side, ball into the penalty area, is cleared away at the back, and it will go out for a Slovakia throw. And this is not how Scotland want these final stages to play out, trailing 1-0.
Yeah, the worst place in the field for Scotland, right up at their own corner flag. The opposition have got the ball. They're trying to make a substitution, Slovakia, so to, waste a little bit more time, doing everything exactly what you'd expect them to do, just trying to see this game out. They will be delighted if they get the 3 points here. I'm sure they absolutely and utterly deserved them, but that's the way national football is, and Scotland have played many games recently much more poorly than this and ended up with 3 points.
Yes, they didn't manage to convert one of those half chances in the first half. Slovakia did manage to get the goal, and it looks as though that goal from Jan Greguš will be enough for Slovakia. But what can Kieran Tierney do here as Scotland win it back? Tierney, lung-busting run down the left-hand side, crosses the ball over to the edge of the penalty area, and the shot is driven in, and it's saved by Marek Rodak. In the end, it was easy enough for the Fulham goalkeeper, and Slovakia still leads Scotland by a goal to 0.
Wasn't really a full chance. Once again, of course, ball in by Kieran Tierney, took it left back, ended up putting it across to the back post, knew who he was looking in for to get in. It was Lee Griffiths there, and Griffiths is well capable from that sort of area to swing the ball in with his left foot, but there was nowhere near enough power there, and the keeper just fell on it easily. And Scotland are a minute away now from that first defeat in such a long time.
Yes, it would be the first defeat since the 10th of October 2019, when they lost so disappointingly in Moscow to Russia. But Scotland are heading for defeat in Slovakia as Christie gives away a free kick. Will go into the book as well. Slovakia are closing in on the 3 points that gives them hope of staying up in this Nations League group. Scotland will stay top of the group, but it will come down to the final round of games. In fact, it's Cooper that's gone into the book there for Scotland.
You're absolutely right, he should have been.
And it should have been Christie.
Should have been Christie. Certainly the referee watched both of them dive into it there, and it will be that he got the wrong man there. Well, we've got seconds to go. Slovakia are understandably making another substitution to kill off as much time as they possibly can, but I suppose as part of things, Scotland given a game to go, in this tournament, not knowing what's going to happen in the other game later on tonight, would have definitely taken this at the start of the group stage.
Absolutely, Pat. A win against Israel in their final match will still do it. They had 2 bites at the cherry for this. Scotland, they needed 2 draws or 1 win, and there is nothing that the Czech Republic, nothing that Israel can do to stop them winning this group. But it looks as though it will go down to that final group match. Scotland will need a win against Israel to guarantee the victory, although can they get a late equaliser here? Here is Griffiths, drives the shot in, and Rodak again might have got a touch on that, but there will not be time to take the corner. There is the full-time whistle, and Scotland's long unbeaten run of over a year is over. They have lost in Slovakia by a 0-0. And again, Pat Nevin, Marek Rodak, he does get a touch. That was going to be the equaliser for Scotland and Lee Griffiths, and he pushed it round the post.
I could argue that he has been the most important player on the field today. Rodak, brilliant said there, this time with his left hand, the one before that with his right hand. I mean, he's had to be very good on 2 or 3 occasions, but much more so than Craig Gordon, who had very little to do in this game. But it happens in international football. You go away from home, and if you lose a goal, it's very, very hard to get back into. Scotland played fairly well, but it's a defeat. But it's a defeat that I think Stevie Clarke can take in the chin, knowing that going forward for this, it's still in Scotland's own hands, and that's the most important thing. And considering it's just a few minutes after we found out about Ray Clements, maybe it's absolutely fitting that the most important player on the field was the goalkeeper.
Absolutely, Pat. Full time in Slovakia. Slovakia 1, Scotland 0.
Thank you very much, Vicky, and well said, Pat. And we're going to reflect more on the sad news about the passing of Ray Clements, who's died at the age of 72 very shortly. I mean, okay, it's a defeat for Scotland there, Pat, but ultimately there were questions asked about, how would they play, how would they respond after the elation of the other night. There was nothing wrong with that performance at all.
No, there wasn't. I mean, you go online, I'll tell you immediately what you start finding. You're saying, why was McGinn not playing a little bit further forward? Why did Stephen Clarke not do that? That's what happens. I'll tell you the reason why that didn't happen, because McGinn had run himself into the ground and wouldn't have been able to give you that sort of effort. However, the players that were in front of him, Armstrong and Christie, did a very good job. There will also be comments about Ollie McBurney. He works incredibly hard, but you're comparing what he's done and what Lyndon Dykes does. Dykes has been absolutely phenomenal, and that made the big difference. However, the rest of the team, I'm looking through it and thinking, I don't think anyone who's played particularly badly. Tierney was off the scale. He was absolutely magnificent today. I can't believe he didn't manage to create a goal. Kenny McLean came in, he did an absolute superb job as well. In the back three, very, very few chances were given up, and the goal that was scored was a deflection, so you couldn't even blame that on the goalkeeper Gordon, who had very little to do himself. So Stevie Clarke, I'm watching as all the players walked off there, he certainly didn't look downcast. He looked at his team and thinks, this is something I can work with, and these are a group of players that I can get more out of. And by the way, that's with 8 changes.
And he has no reason to be downcast, Ronnie Forsyth, because regardless of the result, and even if you take out the fact that there was nothing wrong with the performance, promotion is still in their own hands, whatever happens.
Yes, and if it was easy to go 10 games unbeaten, it wouldn't take you 96 years to do it. There will be a certain sense of anticlimax amongst the support. If you look at the last 4 games coming into this, there were 7 hours of play, 3 goals scored by Scotland, sufficient to put them into the Euro 2020 finals and top of the Nations League group. I did ask Steve Clarke the other day if this was a concern, that there's such a low scoring rate, and he said, as long as we're winning and qualifying, why should we spend time worrying about it? But we can see today that it is a cause for some degree of worry. I will say this, he did give Ollie McBurney the maximum chance to make an impact. Whether he'll keep doing that is a question for the Tartan Army to debate, and online and on Twitter.
Roddy, Pat, Vicky, thank you very much. So Scotland's Nations League group looks like this. They've played 5 games. They're still top on 10 points. Czech Republic second on 6, having played 4. Israel third on 5. They've also played 4, and that win for Slovakia takes them on to 4 points from 5 games. Basically, it means Czech Republic play Israel at 7:45. If that game is a draw, then Scotland are going to win that group. Even if it isn't, it's still in their own hands ahead of the trip to Israel on November the 18th. You're listening to 5 Live Sport. Coming up very shortly, we'll be going fully into our Masters coverage with Mark Chapman. Of course, it's the final round today. Dustin Johnson started 4 shots clear of the field. Let's get the latest from Ian Carter.
It's interesting, Steve. It is interesting because Dustin Johnson has just bogeyed at the par 3 fourth, missing from 8 feet, and it means he's back to 16 under par. 4-stroke advantage that looked so convincing at the start of play. It's not looking that way now. He's driven into a bunker at the 5th as well. That's his third bunker in his first 5 holes. His lead is 2 shots. Cameron Smith and Sung Jae In, 2 players looking for their first major wins, are his closest rivals, just 2 shots behind.
And let's check in at the World Tour Finals in London with Russell Fuller.
First set of the first singles match to the US Open champion Dominic Thiem. He took it by 7 points to 5 against Stefanos Tsitsipas in a repeat of last year's final. But Tsitsipas has the break in the second set. He leads by 2 games to 1 and has just held serve to move 3-1 in front. These two in the London 2020 group, Rafa Nadal and Andrei Rublev, the other 2 members of the group, play this evening from 8 o'clock. The other group is called Tokyo 1970 group, in honour of the 50th anniversary of these ATP finals.
Russell, thank you very much. Now, if you've just joined us on 5 Live Sport this afternoon, I'm afraid I have to bring you some sad news that the former Liverpool, Tottenham and England goalkeeper Ray Clemence has passed away at the age of 72. This is a statement from the Clemence family. With great sadness, we write to let you know that Ray has passed away peacefully today, surrounded by his loving family. And he will never be forgotten. We can speak to our senior football reporter Ian Dennis now. Ian, what a man and what a career.
Yeah, it's such sad news, and you know, he was a wonderful man. I had the pleasure of meeting him whilst he was with England, because of course he was a former goalkeeping coach with the FA. He served the FA for a number of years, but make no mistake, Ray Clemence was a true legend of the game and one of the greatest goalkeepers of his generation. You look back at his career, the 14 years at Anfield, the trophies that he won, you know, the 5 titles, success in Europe, and then going on to Tottenham as well, another 7 years, and still having a success at White Hart Lane, and no wonder that both clubs have expressed their sympathies. And of course he used to work as well. He's been a summariser at BBC Radio in the past, he's worked in the FA, he has served so many different aspects of the game of football, and this is a really, really sad day. And you also think from his international playing career, 61 caps he gained for England at a time when his rivalry with Peter Shilton won 120. Had it not been for Peter Shilton, Ray Clemence, make no mistake, would have won a lot more caps than 61. A true legend, and extremely sad news.
Yeah, perhaps no better way to pay tribute to him as a footballer than to say there was a period of time where Peter Shilton couldn't get in the England team because of him. Just reading some messages from social media here as well from Tottenham Hotspur. We're deeply saddened to report the passing of legendary former goalkeeper Ray Clemence. We extend our deepest sympathies to Ray's family and many friends throughout the game at this sad time. Liverpool have said this: we're deeply saddened by the passing of one of the greatest ever goalkeepers in Ray Clemence. The thoughts of everyone at Liverpool are with Ray's family and many friends. This is from England, from the FA. We're extremely saddened to learn of the news of Ray Clemence, who's passed away at the age of 72. Again, all our thoughts are with Ray's family, friends and former clubs at this time. Let's bring in Mark Lawrenson. And Mark, I know as a player, you just missed Ray when it came to playing at Liverpool, but, you know, there are 2 sides to this. There is the man and the player, and you just get the sense that so much, not only was he a great player, but also a great man.
Yeah, well, I think from the playing side of view, I mean, the day I signed, he'd left for Tottenham. He must have known something, obviously. But the lads would say to me that on a Thursday morning they would have shooting practice occasionally, and sometimes Clem wouldn't be bothered, and he wouldn't be diving for anything and stuff like that. And one of the coaching staff say, Clem, what's happening? What are you doing? What's this all about? He said, look, you worry about it if I don't stop them on a Saturday. He said, because I will. He was just that way. I think everybody who you will speak to probably tomorrow in the newspapers, obviously on social media, etc., will tell you he's just a great bloke. He enjoyed his life, looked to be he'd fought this illness for a few years, and at one stage looked really like he'd overcome it completely, and looked far back to him at Anfield on quite a few occasions for various kind of get-togethers and stuff. But obviously it's got him in the end. But every single person who played for him, coached him, that he coached and managed will tell you he was just a real soft bloke. I just heard the news before, and it's one of those moments where you think, crikey, no, not another one.
And just reading Mark Jamie Carragher saying an LFC giant who was also a giant of a man. Does that sum him up?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember going back to that first year when I signed, and our very last game of the season, we needed to beat Tottenham at home to win the league. And obviously Clem was in goal, and that was in the days where probably in the Spine Cop there'd be upwards of 20,000 people all stood there swaying. You've seen the famous pictures, I'm sure. I would just remember the applause when he ran out. Obviously kept goal at the Cop was staggering. I mean, I was playing against him, and he just made the hairs on your arms, etc., come up and stuff, and I was fortunate enough. I think we were 1-0 down at half time, and I scored a goal to make it 1-1 past Clem, and it was a header from 10 yards, and obviously over the years it became 45 yards. It's clipped around the year, but he was just fabulous talent, but he just really seriously got life and enjoyed it. It was always fun, and even when we saw him when he wasn't particularly well, he was always very positive. And just as Deno said there about himself and Peter Shields, and I think absolutely right. No disrespect to Peter, but if Peter hadn't been around, Clem would have got 100 caps. I don't think there's any argument about that whatsoever, and you wouldn't get one from anybody either.
This is from David James, who says, I'm deeply saddened to hear the passing of Ray Clemence. Clem was my coach with England for more than a decade, a lovely man with a wicked left foot. I had a poster of him on my bedroom wall as a kid. Of course, Ray Clemence was part of the England coaching setup with Steve McLaren, and Steve has joined us now. Thank you for being with us, Steve. What would you like to say about Ray Clemence?
Well, I'm deeply shocked and saddened by his loss. Sympathy and condolences to his family, the fantastic woman she was looking after him, Steve and Sarah and Julie, his kids who he talked about all the time. I worked with him 6-7 years with England. He was fantastic company, great goalkeeping coach, great servant of the game, and so humble. That was the key. He was so humble, such a gentle guy. But a great coach, great knowledge, great relationship with his goalkeepers, as David James just talked there. And my great memories of him will be, all right, we trained hard, we trained long, we had competitions, we were in World Cups, Euros for 6 weeks, and he was great company, especially on the night when Spain and Toll brought out the red wine, and the stories flowed, and especially the stories about Shankly, and the great Liverpool days, that era, the great servant he was for that club.
When you think about your time, Steve, with Ray, what will be the abiding memories that come back into your head?
I think his humbleness, his gentleness, his sense of humour. I mean, he had the biggest laugh ever, and that was, we always tried to make him laugh because it cheered us up and everybody up. And I think that's the key thing for me, and his stories, and just a servant of the game. That's how I picture him. Fantastic family. V was great company. Him and her together were fantastic. The banter used to flow left and right, but they so loved each other in the end, and all the way through. And I'm saddened by it. He fought this like he fought everything. And I thought he beat me, but unfortunately he's taken a sad day for football.
Is he one of those people, Steve, who, as soon as he opened his mouth to speak, everybody would just sit and listen and allow him to hold court?
Absolutely. And as I say, some of the stories I can repeat, some I can't, but the Liverpool, the great Liverpool team, we were just in awe of him. And it was great. Them nights were fantastic with the red wine, and him and Sammy Lee talking about the great Liverpool days and the antics that went on in between games. It was a fantastic era for that football club, and that's what I remember most. Time with England, but away from that, he was a great coach, great relationship with his goalkeepers, great knowledge, and fantastic advice, and which we took all the time.
And the honours as well, Ian Dennis. 5 league titles, 3 European Cups, an FA Cup, a League Cup, 2 UEFA Cups. Just an incredible number of honours for any player.
Well, yeah, I mean, he won everything you could win with Liverpool. It was Bill Shankly who signed him in '67 from Scunthorpe, and he just gave terrific service, for 14 years at Anfield, and quite rightly will always be remembered as a Liverpool legend. But Laura will tell you that at that time, when you talk back about the great times that Liverpool had, they always used to say that when you would leave Anfield, your best days were behind you. And although he didn't win the amounts of success that he had, he still went on to win a UEFA Cup and an FA Cup, and remained an integral part of the success for Tottenham in the 80s. And then obviously he went into the FA and took the development roles as well as the goalkeeping coach. So this loss will be felt throughout the world of football.
Yeah, Mark, just to back up what Ian was saying there about the position that Ray Clemence was in when he did come to leave Liverpool. This is a guy who just kept a clean sheet in the European
the Premier League, and they're extremely busy and they're having to make saves all the time, which is all kind of de rigueur. But Jimmy Clement, when he played in those Liverpool teams, they would completely dominate games. He wouldn't have anything to do for 15 or 20 minutes in large periods of games. But when called upon to make a great save, he would make it, and that's the difference between the goalkeepers. The really great ones are the ones who have nothing to do. They're not someone smashes one from nowhere and it's going in the bottom corner, all of this hand came out and just kind of diverted his way. And I think all the players that played with him will remember him for that. And I think it was one season before my time when Liverpool only conceded 16 goals in the league in 42 games. I think 42 league games. I hope I've got that right. And obviously you can guess who was in goal that particular season, can't you?
Mark Lawrenson, Steve McLaren, Ian Dennis, thank you so much for being with us to pay tribute to Ray Clemence, who once he'd broken into the Liverpool team after a couple of years at the club, having been signed as a 17-year-old, missed 6 league games in 11 years, along with all those incredible accolades that we've been speaking about. If you've just joined us, sorry to have to tell you that the former Liverpool, Tottenham and England goalkeeper Ray Clemence has died at the age of 72, and I'm sure there'll be many, many more tributes to come. Please do send us yours to Ray Clemence to 85058 and at 5 Live Sport. Coming up next on 5 Live Sport, our focus will be on the final day of the Masters at Augusta. Dustin Johnson in the lead, but under some pressure. Mark Chapman will be with you after the latest news on 5 Live with Dan Hilton.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Many thanks. As we've been hearing, the FA has announced that the former England goalkeeper Ray Clemence has died at the age of 72. He won 61 England caps as well as 3 European Cups and 5 First Division titles with Liverpool. The club has paid tribute, saying we're deeply saddened by the passing of one of the greatest ever goalkeepers. Ray Clemence's long-time rival for the England number-1 spot, Peter Shilton, has also tweeted saying they were rivals but good friends, and describing him as a brilliant goalkeeper with a terrific sense of humour. Britain's chief Brexit negotiator, David Frost, has insisted he won't change course ahead of a crucial week in trade talks with the EU. Mr Frost said the only deal possible was one that took back control of the UK's laws, trade and waters. And Lewis Hamilton has secured a record-equaling 7th Formula 1 point title by winning the Turkish Grand Prix. Writing on Twitter, he dedicated his win to his incredible family.
BBC 5 Live.
Laura Whitmore.
Hi, this is Kylie Minogue, and you're listening to Laura Whitmore on BBC 5 Live. I'm pretty sure I thought this is what I want to do, or just at least, fantasized about it. But the first concert I went to was Culture Club, and I went with all the ribbons in my hair, in my 14-year-old version of Boy George. My kind of disco dream, or my dream of singing, was in my head and in my heart.
Laura Whitmore. Listen now with the BBC Sounds app.
Sends it into the cup.
McLean, Malombi and Brady amongst those who come in.
Thank you very much, Connor. So 5 Live Sports Extra if you want to listen to that. Let's go to the ATP Tour Finals. Russell Fuller.
1-1 now in the opening singles match between Stefanos Tsitsipas, the defending champion, and the US Open champion Dominic Thiem. Thiem won the first set on a tiebreak. Tsitsipas has just taken it into a deciding set by winning the second set 6-4.
Thank you, Russell. European Ryder Cup captain Podrick Harrington will join us in the next 20 minutes, half an hour here on 5 Live Sport. The difference is here, Jamie, isn't there? And this isn't necessarily just the case with golf. This is a case with all sport. He's gone into this, Dustin Johnson, today with a Masters to lose, not a Masters to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And like I was saying before, if you have a big lead going into the last round, it is only there for you to lose it. And you start thinking about it. The secret is, and it's very hard to do, is to keep trying to play some aggressive golf where you can. You know, don't try and play too conservative. You've got to still play the shots if you're going to win. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough. You're best being around level or just ahead. You just got to play aggressive and see if you can just finish it off.
Because yesterday in his third round, of course, he flew out to the blocks. I think he went eagle, birdie, didn't he? 2, 3, 4 yesterday. And that gave him the platform, as we talked about all last night, and you'll have seen in the papers this morning. He was so laid back, no stress whatsoever, just smooth as silk, because he'd given himself the platform.
Yeah, he had a great start, didn't he, yesterday, and then it was just a procession after that for what was a fantastic round of golf. Very different today, though.
Sung Jae Im, the South Koreans, one shot behind him, difficult pitch from the back of the 6th green. He's bumped it into the slope. There's a few yards then for it to run down, and he's coated it up to about 3 or 4 feet. How about that for short game skills, Jamie?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, he played an excellent up and down on the 5th earlier, so he's just played another one there. He's scrambling fantastic. Very good young player, so you know he's only one back at the moment, playing some great golf.
2 back, Cam Smith of Australia playing from the rough down the right-hand side, trying to fashion something over the trees from 120 yards out on the 7th. That's a super shot from the Australian, and it takes the contours, and he has played that magnificently to put it to 10, 12 feet. Birdie chance coming from Cam Smith, an unlikely birdie chance given where his drive had ended up in the trees.
We've got Dustin Johnson's birdie putt on the way on the 6. Obviously they're playing in 3 balls today, so everything within the group is just going to take that little bit longer. I know this is a slightly obvious point to make, but now that his lead is down to 1, you suddenly think about standing on the 12th tee, for example. If your lead's 1 shot, that is no lead at all. Think Jordan Spieth in 2016 had a 4-shot lead standing on that tee. It's suddenly, on this golf course, on the back 9, if it's tight, as we know, because history tells us, can get very, very nervy.
And there's not much breeze around, but we just saw Billy Horschel on there, and he was so hesitant with his tee shot. Ultimately just tiptoed off the back of the green, but he was approaching his ball, going back. He really didn't know what was doing, and just seeing that flag there,
blowing.
The wind is blowing. We saw that on the 7th there when Dylan Fratelli was playing his approach in the South African in the group at 10 under par, sharing 4th place. McIlroy and Anser, the others there. Smith at 13 under par in 3rd place. Im at 14 under par. After that, chip should remain there. And this man, Dustin Johnson, out in front, 15 under par. What's the read he's looking at here, Jamie?
I'll go slightly left to right. Just not outside the hole, left edge, yeah, just where the caddy's pointing. So we're on the same sort of wavelength there. I mean, this is a very difficult flag position. Anything up on this right-hand side, it's very difficult just to sit on that ledge. Looking at the history books, I think there's only one guy in the history of the Masters that has made a hole-in-one with a pin up here.
Yep, we'll get into that in a second. Here is Dustin Johnson for his birdie. What a bounce back, what a bounce back. That is the play of a world number 1. That is the play of a potential Masters winner. He's gone birdie, bogey, bogey, birdie. He's back to 16 under par. He's 2 shots clear, and suddenly the world is a much better place for him.
Rory McIlroy on the 8. This is for eagle to try and get himself to 12 under par. I'm not sure this putt is going to have the gas. It was from a good 40 feet, but it continues to roll. He's judged it beautifully. It's picking up speed on the slope now, misses on the left-hand side, and Rory McIlroy, that is a fabulous putt from that range. That should be another birdie for him. That'll be 3 under par for the round to take himself to 11 under par.
Sung Jae-in must make putt for the Korean here to save his par at the 6 on a similar line to the one that's just been holed by Dustin Johnson, so maybe a little bit of left to right, and there was too much left to right for Im's Reed, and he's missed it on the right hand side, so he slips back to 13 under par. It's classic Masters golf this. We were talking about the angst for Dustin Johnson just a few moments ago, and all of a sudden he's got daylight again. He's 3 shots clear.
He's gone from a 1-shot lead to a 3-shot lead in the space of 2 putts.
Yeah, and that's us giving him this
bogey
putt, so let's just make sure it goes in. And in it goes. So Mark, I'm just wondering, as they go off to the 7th tee, do we just move on to the 7th and forget about the 6th?
Forget about that, the hole in one.
Yeah. Or do we mention it? Should we mention it, Jamie?
Who is it? Who is it?
The only player to have a hole-in-one at the Masters on that pin position is...
me.
And how many times a day do you watch it back? Every single day?
Every other.
Every other day. Every other day. There are so many... 10 years ago it was doom and gloom with Dustin Johnson, even though he was leading the Masters. And yet, there are stats that would back up the slight fragility of Dustin Johnson in particular, and also a big lead on the final round. But Dustin Johnson in majors, when he's gone into the lead, when he's gone into the final round in the lead, has never actually delivered that major, and that has happened 4 times before today.
It has. 2010, he was 3 shots clear at the US Open, finished in a share of 8th place at Pebble Beach. 2015.
since 1979. The reason I've chosen that year, so your run has to have started from 1979 onwards, okay? So that doesn't include Gary Player, who made 23 consecutive cuts between 1959 and 82, Tom Watson between 75 and 95, and Jack Nicklaus between 68 and 82, because if we'd gone back that far, it would have included, the list would have been too long, we wouldn't have had time, it would have been...
So why 79?
Just because that's the point in time that I've chosen.
Just thought the last 41 years has got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what you're looking for. Most consecutive cuts made since 1979. There are two on the list that I don't think you'll get, so I'm going to give them to you now. Bruce Litsky between 81 and 95, and John Houston between 1990 and 2001. So don't worry about them, but the others you should get, and with the help of the listeners you might get. You're allowed 5 incorrect answers, so get thinking.
Sorry, I'm John Pick up here. I'm just crossing off Bruce Litsky off.
No. John Houston.
Yeah, well, we'll throw in Tiger Woods straight away, shall we?
Yeah. Tiger Woods, 20, including this year, 21 consecutive cuts made since 1997.
And the reason I mention him is because he's on the 11th. He's at 2 over par this round. He's in a share of 29th place, the defending champion, and currently at 3 under par.
Sorry, could I just make one point? If you've missed a Masters, if you've not played in one year, your consecutive run can continue.
Yes.
You have to have been in the Masters to have missed the cut.
Okay.
To take my point.
Yeah, absolutely. If McIlroy shoots 65, Jamie, and ends up on 15 under par, given how Dustin Johnson has played so far, could 15 under win it?
Yes. I think he's got to shoot 65 minimum, 15 minimum. Anything less than that, and I think it's too low. I think the chasing pack of Smith and him are playing some wonderful golf, so they're not going to be that far behind him. It would be a great score to post 15 under.
Okay.
Smith's hit a lovely tee shot into the 8th, the long par 5, longest hole on the course, so he's in perfect spot off the tee. Someone who's not in a perfect spot here, Jamie, is the leader, Dustin Johnson, at 7.
Yeah, difficult. I mean, luckily the greens are a little bit softer this year than they have been. Normally with the greens firm, this ball would be very difficult to hold the green. The only thing he's got in his favour is it's sloping from back to front, so it's sloping towards him. But it's a very small gap between the two bunkers where he's got to thread it up to the pin. Has to go aerial.
He bunts it forward. He's actually gone the ground route and he's knocked it into the bunker, which clearly was the acceptable miss that's at the front of the green. It was interesting. He said his caddy, his brother Austin, running up with the bag on his back, and went to get him to move the rake, which was between the two bunkers, because clearly, as you say, he was looking to run it up through that gap, tugged it a little bit to the left, so he's in yet another bunker. So that's the first, the second, the fifth, and the seventh that he's found sound.
McIlroy on the 9th, perfect position. Jamie Donaldson's just been telling us how beautifully he's been swinging the golf club in glorious sunshine at Augusta. There's that swing again, explosion of turf as he looks at the ball, head towards the 9th green. He's gone right at this flag. What's that putt like there from Jamie? Maybe 20, 25 feet from there?
Yeah, it's going to be quick and it's going to swing a lot from right to left. Decent shot, the pin's cut left, so you think everybody, the majority, they feel are going to be just right at the pin there. Short-siding yourself at Augusta is a no-go.
111 yards out at the 7th for Sung Jae Im. 3 shots off the lead at 13 under par. After dropping a shot at the 6th, and that has missed the green. The monitor that we're looking at hasn't picked up the ball as yet.
It looks like back trap.
Yeah. So that's an unforced error from a really good position for Sung Jae Im.
What a picture this is that we are looking at the moment, and were we in our usual commentary position at Augusta, we would be sitting right here, and I really wish we were. So this is the par 3 12th. This is the defending champion Tiger Woods. Golden Bell, one of the greatest par 3s in world golf, isn't it, Jamie, this hole?
Yeah, it's It is so beautiful when you stand on that tee box or around the tee. If you're in the crowd, when the crowds are allowed back in, it's just like looking at a postcard. It's as beautiful a golf hole as you'll ever see. And another beauty of it is it's not that long.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of par threes nowadays on new courses that have just been designed and built, they're all 230 yards. This is, 140 to the middle of the green. It's just, and you never know with the swirling winds how long or short it's going to play, so it's immensely difficult and immensely beautiful.
The dangerous waters of Rays Creek run in front of a steeply sloping green. It's about, what are we saying today, 158 yards. Tiger Woods, in his famous final day red shirt, black baseball cap, has 158 yards to the flag, but always on the final day at the Masters, it is cut right away to the right-hand side, so you've got to carry it. It just gives you a much smaller margin of error if you're going to go at the flag. Tiger Woods' tee shot, he's 3 under par, he's on its way here to the 12th, and it lands on the bank and it drops back and goes into the water, and that's what can happen. And I don't know whether that was a club thing or a gust of wind got up. It's such a difficult hole, Jamie.
It is unbelievably difficult. I mean, obviously last year he went a long way left, which is what you should do in the situation that he was in at the time when he's leading or thereabouts and around the lead. The problem is obviously because the winds are swirling so much that you don't know exactly how long it's going to play.
Well, they really struggled last year, didn't they? Molinari.
Exactly the point. In the final groups, there were 3 of them went into the water. Molinari, Poulter, Finau, Koepka. 4 of them went into the water, and the only one who kept dry was Tiger Woods. So a real sort of ironic juxtaposition there as Woods' ball disappears into the drink.
But also the point being, and you were talking about this yesterday, Ian, scoreboard pressure. If Dustin Johnson is 2 or 3 ahead, you've got to chase the flags, you've got to make the birdies. Or do you still play to the middle of the green and think, do you know what, I'll try and hold a 30-footer?
No, I think, today's a long way back, and it doesn't matter, he's not in a position to win or get close. So, for Tiger there, he's taking dead aim at the flag. For guys that have to get it close there, you've got to be aggressive. But if it's only 1 or 2 in it with all those holes to play, you've still got to play slightly conservative. If you're only 1 or 2 behind, there's no point in playing yourself completely out of the tournament by dumping it in the drink, because the pitch shot short is still unbelievably difficult.
Right, to the final grouping. I always want to say pairing, but of course they're playing in 3 balls, and it's Sung Jae Im from the back bunker on this par 4, where the green is wider than it is deep, and it's surrounded by these brilliant white bunkers. And I've never seen Augusta greener in terms of the grass. And then it's a tough bunker shot with a big swing from right to left, and Im splashes it out. It's going at a rate of knots all the way across the green, and then running off the green at the other side and settling down, so not finding the putting surface with his 3rd shot on this par 4-7.
Yeah, that's a bad miss, that, because it sloped so much back to front, immensely fast from the back, and the wrong side of the hole that time.
Here's the leader, Dustin Johnson, settles those big feet, just wiggles them left and right to get a comfortable position in the bunker at the front of the green. Has already played a brilliant bunker shot on the par 5 second. This one is splashed out and skids to a hole just behind the hole, probably no more than a foot. How good was that, Jamie?
Yeah, fantastic. But Dustin, with his experience here, he's deliberately played his miss into the bunker at the front. He's got a much easier bunker shot than him that's a long way past the flag, so experience meaning everything there.
Second shot, Cameron Smith, the man in 2nd place. It's a fairway wood, trying to get up onto the par 5, 8th in 2, and he's missed the green to the right, but that's the right spot to miss it, with the pin cut deep in the back left-hand corner of the putting surface on that par 5.
I know he went in the sand again there, Dustin Johnson, but do you just think he's calmed it slightly?
Yeah, big time calm the storm on the 6th. That's a fantastic shot he's hitting there. Tiny landing area, made birdie there. That's big. I mean, you won't see many people make birdie there today. He's leading the golf tournament, makes birdie, calms the storm, and he's in a great position now on 7.
So this is Im chipping for par now from a slope just at the front of the 7th green. He's 13 under, 3 back from Johnson. This is just going to roll right to left, and he was just trying to cosy that into the hole. Very, very close, inches away, but it will be a drop shot for Sung Jae-im, the South Korean. So that will be a bogey on the 6th and a bogey on the 7th to drop him back to 12 under par.
Yeah, second successive bogey for the Korean, and so he's at now 12 under par, 4 shots off the lead. Dustin Johnson out in front at 16 under, 2 clear of Cameron Smith, who's in good shape on the 8th. Johnson, I think we can almost give him that par putt after what was a beautiful shot from the bunker, but here's Rory McIlroy looking for a birdie at the 9th, coming across the green and just missing to the left side. Nicely judged putt, good for pace, but needed to borrow a fraction more from to save his par there. McIlroy currently at 11 under par and in a share of 4th place.
Ali, remind us of the quiz question once you've just commentated on Woods here, and then Padraig Harrington is going to join us on 5 Live Sport.
Oh, Tiger, have you put another one in the water? No, that, yes, he has. Yes, from the drop zone, Jamie Donaldson was just telling us how difficult that is because you're hitting to such a narrow portion of the green. So Tiger Woods' tee shot has gone in the water, playing 3, that's gone in the water. It's just landed on the front of the green, spun back and rolled down the slope. So he's now playing 5 from exactly the same position, and that is what that hole can do.
It is. It's so narrow in that corner. It's so shallow from back to front that there's nearly no part of the green to land the ball on. It's literally like landing on your dining room table, you know, and he's come back into the water and he's got the same shot again.
McIlroy makes his par at the 9th. 3 birdies on the way out, no drop shots to the turn in 33.
Dustin Johnson then on the 7th, and we've practically given him this, but you've got to be very careful at Augusta with putts of any length, foot or so. Johnson at 16 under, leading the Masters by 2 from Cameron Smith. No mistake from Dustin Johnson, in it goes. So 7 holes of his final round completed, level par for the day with bogeys at the 4th and 5th and birdies at the 3rd and 6th. Has him 2 shots clear. Your quiz question: most consecutive cuts made at the Masters since 1979. Lots of answers coming in, but I'll give you those.
And how many were we looking for?
14 golfers, and you've got Tiger Woods.
Okay, as Jamie says, it feels like Dustin Johnson has just calmed that storm a little bit. If you follow that analogy, Tiger has a face like thunder on the 12th. Let's go to Ian for a leaderboard now.
Yep, it's Dustin Johnson out in front, level par, but it's been far from straightforward so far on this final round for the world number 1. Through 7 holes at 16 under par where he started, and 2 shots ahead of Cameron Smith, who's bidding to become the first man to shoot all 4 rounds in the 60s at a Masters. The Aussies at 14 under par, 2 under for his round so far. Sung Jae-im at 12 under par as he goes to the 8th. Rory McIlroy embarking on the back 9 at 11 under par, the same mark as Dylan Fratelli of South Africa. Players who are at 9 under par include Hideki Matsuyama, former world number 1 Brooks Koepka, former champion Patrick Reed, the world number 2 John Rahm, the world number 3 Justin Thomas as well. Tommy Fleetwood is at 8 under par as he plays the 10th, looking a little further down the leaderboard. A 69 to finish for the pre-tournament favourite Bryson DeChambeau. He's in the clubhouse at 5 under par. Ian Poulter's in the clubhouse at 4 under.
The 2020 Masters with Mark Chapman.
If Dustin Johnson plays the par 3 12th like Tiger Woods has done, he'll be down in about 4th.
Yeah.
Because Tiger has now played...
He's about to play his 8th shot on the par 3 12th, and it is making one of the world's greatest golfers look rather foolish, but this hole is so beautiful, so beguiling, so seemingly simple because it is so picture perfect. But the problem is, from the drop zone, at the second attempt he went into the back bunker, Jamie, so that was his 5th shot, and then his 6th shot, and he had an impossible stance there. I mean, he's right on a slope, so his left leg miles above the ball, struggling to keep his balance, and he's caught it fresh clean and knocked it straight back into the water. So the next shot he's going to be playing is his 8th.
The thing is with those bunkers at the back there's not a lot of sand in them. So he's got a really difficult stance. The ball's way below his feet. He's leaning along on his left. He's got 1 foot nearly out the bunker. and with no sand in the trap at the same time, he's just bounced it and sculled the ball into the water. So adding up a big score for Tiger on 12.
And one of the great things about that description from Ali, a bit like whenever you describe someone's spin bowling, you can't help but do the action. Ali virtually described Tiger's stance by putting one of his legs up on the desk to recreate it. Dustin Johnson
with his tee shot on the par 5 8th, and he has found a fairway, and he's found a fairway a mile down that hole. That's a terrific tee shot from the world number 1 and the leader. As we now look at Cam Smith up ahead, playing his third to the green, the man in second place, pitching there across to this back left pin position. The ball just grabs and doesn't quite release in the direction of the hole. He's going to have a birdie putt, I'm going to say, of around about 15, 16 feet.
Yeah, he's in a perfect spot there, Cam. He's got about 50 yards and he's got all the green to work with, but yeah, didn't quite get the length on that one.
Sung Jae Im just driving off the 8th tee, par 5. He's 4 shots off the leader, Dustin Johnson. That is leaking a little to the right, so we just got to see if it lands in one of the bunkers. It doesn't, it stays safe, it's on the fairway. The highest score ever made at the 12th hole in competition at the Masters. Tom Weiskopf in 1980 took a 13 at the 12th.
I don't think that's... that would be some story if Tiger took 13 on the 12th. Let's bring Padraig Harrington into our discussion on 5 Live Sport. Afternoon, Padraig, thank you for joining us.
Afternoon, Mark. It's interesting watching the golf in the afternoon for the Masters. Normally it'd be a nighttime thing.
So it feels very civil, doesn't it, at this time? Feels very nice.
Yeah, I miss the normal one, I've got to say, and 2 balls. Yeah, it's just different.
Have you found it a strange tournament to watch then? I mean, I know Jack Nicklaus has spoken about finding things strange. Our very own Andrew McGee described it at times as feeling a little bit like a Masters Invitational, because there are obviously no patrons there.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is different watching on TV. I think from a practical point of view, I'm kind of watching and wondering about the different grass. They're playing off a slightly different grass at the moment. It's not quite fully overseeded, so it means the course is not exactly what we would know, say, in it. There are little differences to it. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, as we're seeing in the final round, it still is that test that shows up on a Sunday on the Masters that is just really difficult to lead on. It's probably one of the toughest courses to lead on, because every shot you hit in the course you can make a birdie off, but you can also make a double bogey off, which, you know, that's a tough golf course to be. If you're trying to protect something, and we'll still see this going through the back 9, you know, Rory McIlroy has a great chance because he's going with it at the moment, and he can make some eagles. And if DJ gets any way protected on the back 9, you know, there's, like we see Tiger on the 12th, all of a sudden there's bogeys, double bogeys and more out there.
If you were in Rory's position now and knew everything else that was going on and could see what Dustin Johnson had been doing, Ian?
Cameron Smith just missing with his birdie putt. He's frustrated, he'll tap it in for his par 5.
What kind of target would you set yourself, Padraig, to finish with for Rory?
The best thing Rory can do, and I don't think it's possible, but the best thing he can do is not think at all and just keep playing.
Yes.
You know, if he could stay in whatever frame of mind he is in right now at this moment, not get ahead of himself, not think about birdies, not think about leaderboard, and just keep playing, it would be perfect. But we know that's not easy. It's easy for us to say it. So, look, the one thing, and if I was sitting at the top of the leaderboard and I was looking at somebody chasing from behind, what always happens to the chasers is they build momentum, but they generally hit a wall because they've gone for everything all the way through, and then keep going for stuff in the back 9 because it's going well, but there might be a hole or two where they shouldn't. And, you know, their aggressiveness can catch up on the chasers. That's what often happens. The chasers often hit a wall. Hopefully that's not going to happen with Rory. He really, I gotta say, watching it, he could easily get, you know, 4 or 5 more under par. And, you know, as good as DJ is, if this was a regular event, there'd be no question DJ would have this well and truly. He'd be 20 under par now, and everybody would be turning it off. But because it's the Masters, you know, finishing at 15 or 16 under par, it could be good play for DJ for the rest of the round.
Do you take in, when you talk about that as well, do you take into account Dustin Johnson's history, as we've talked about, when he's had that 4-shot lead going in. Oh, sorry, when he's had the lead going into the final round. Rory, by the way, is on the 10th here.
Yeah, he's got a downhill lie, went with the 3-wood, so it's a long iron in, and that one looks to have leaked a little bit to the right, quite a lot to the right. It's up on the mound to the right of the green, but it looks like he's got an unencumbered view down to the flag and a bit of green to work with, but he has missed the green with his second shot to the 10th, Rory McIlroy.
Rory McIlroy, sorry, Padraig, Rory McIlroy on the 10th. I just wanted to update you on Tiger Woods' travails on the 12th. He's finished with a 10. So we've gone from 3 under to 4 over in the space of that one hole.
Crikey. Sorry, Padraig.
Well, like, I hate to say it, but that is exactly... Rory's come down 10 there. He knows he's going well in the tournament, and he's just got a little bit defensive off his tee shot. Instead of hitting it down the left-hand side around the corner, which if you hit it left, you can lose your golf ball or go back to the tee. He's been defensive, and he's punished himself by being out on that right-hand side, because, you know, any shot off that side hill lie down slope is a difficult shot. So that's what I'm saying, that DJ's going to have to go through that as well in the back nine. You just... Augusta just keeps asking these questions. Either hit a good shot, and if you don't, if you're just slightly out, it just really puts you, it can punish you under pressure. I find it the toughest golf course in the world, that back nine, because you have a lead, yet you're asked to make birdies, whereas if you're playing the US Open, you know, if you just hit fairways and greens, you're likely to win when you're leading the tournament. Not at the Masters. You've got to hit some great shots coming home.
Well, here's Dustin Johnson with his second to the par 5 8th up the hill. He's marching after it. He won't see it land, but when he gets up to the top of the hill, he'll like what he sees, because the ball has landed in the heart of the green, stopping almost exactly where it landed, and he's going to be having an eagle putt probably around about 40 feet, but he's safely on the putting surface, exactly what he was looking for. And that's fantastic front-running golf, isn't it, Padraig? You know, taking advantage of the par 5s. It was so noticeable yesterday. I know day 3 is different to day 4, but he'd given himself the cushion that enabled him to sort of pick off the par 5s on the back nine.
Yeah, look, I think that was his favourite club, by the way. He loves that 7-1 he hit in there. I think being able to make a simple birdie if he 2-puts that, making it simple for him, I think, will settle him down. You know, like 7 there, he chipped and put for par. It wasn't exactly simple, he's happy, but when he starts getting into that run that, you know, he's making an easy birdie there, and if he starts hitting fairways and greens, I think Dustin does like the game to be very orderly, very simple. You know, he doesn't want to get too much drama. He doesn't want to get into, you know, situations that he leave himself open like Tiger did on 12 to having to work out things. He's much better player when it's just played nice and simple golf.
From what you were saying then about the pressure that this course puts on you, did you